Here's everything you need to know about Zhiyun's latest light, the Moelis G200. The Moelis G200 is a high-powered continuous light. It's one of Zhiyun's most powerful lights in their current range, but manages not to sacrifice any of that compact design that they have come to be known for. This is a great light if you're looking for something a little more compact, but still need a fairly strong light to perform on the day. So here's what you'll find in the box. The Moelis G200 light, a reflector to attach to the Moelis G200 light, a power cable, an adapter which we'll get into more detail later in the video, and a storage bag. And of course you'll find the obligatory little pieces of paper which 95% of us will never use or look at. So the storage bag here is actually quite small and narrow in comparison to more traditional video lights. It's not a massive brick that'll take up half of your trunk. It's fairly small, you can tuck it in rather nicely. Now this light has a wattage of 320 watts, although typically will perform at 200 watts. I'll explain why this is later in the video. In terms of lumens or brightness of this light has 9,460 LUTs, which means it can cover up to 300 square feet, which for reference sake is the size of 3 bedrooms or 3 crummy apartments. In terms of the CRI rating on this light, it's 95, which puts it in the high tier of light ratings, making this a very clean sort of light to use, giving you very, very accurate colors for your lighting. If you want something better quality or higher rating, well, use the sun. In terms of warmth and coolness settings on this light, it has a range of 27 Kelvin to 65 Kelvin, which means at 27 Kelvin, you're getting a very, very warm light, and at 65 Kelvin, you're going 500 above what is regarded as a very clean light. The point is, as far as standard video lights go, this light performs incredibly well. It hits all the marks above and beyond. In terms of build quality, just by looking at this light, you can see it is a very lightweight light. The whole lighting setup weighs 2.209 kilograms, with the light itself weighing just 1 kilogram. This is a great light for those of you that want to have something that hangs high on a C-stand or hang high on any sort of pole and not have to worry about necessarily tipping over. The light is incredibly light, but also the compact design lends itself to this light being able to be put in all sorts of cramped spaces and fit perfectly in. You're not working with a giant brick of a light here. This light also has a Bowens mount, which means it's very universal in terms of external or third-party light accessories, in addition to the first-party light accessories. Now naturally, such a small light working at such a high performance is going to need a fan to remain cool. Fortunately though, this light has 2 of them. The Moelis G200 uses a Dynavolt cooling system, which effectively is an algorithm-based fan that adjusts and speeds up and slows down as it is needed, meaning that the fan in this light is never working harder than it needs to. So what you'll find is when the light's initially cool, the fan will barely be running, but as it starts to run hotter, the fan will start to speed up and just cool the light off as it needs. This Dynavolt cooling system, of course, is also in the adapter system of this light, so you ensure that the most highest performing parts of this kit are remaining cool at all times. So I did test this light in comparison to other continuous video lights, and what I found in comparison to say lower end continuous lights and higher end continuous lights is that the fan on this light hits around somewhere on the high tier. It's not an incredibly loud fan, but if you perform in max mode, you may start to notice the fan's noise picking up a little bit. Now, as I noted earlier in the video, this light does have a max capacity of 320 watts, but typically performs at 200 watts. Basically, this 320 watts is safe for something very special in this light, which is max mode. Max mode in this light basically means you push this light to its absolute limits to make it that much brighter. The way you set max mode is you hold down the CCT and the dim triggers at the same time. Holding these down will switch you to max mode. In max mode, you will notice that the lights become immediately that much brighter. When set to max mode, the default settings will be 100% on the dim and 4300 Kelvin. So the light will be extremely bright when you switch to max initially, and a little bit warm, though of course you can adjust these. When using max mode, the lumens on this light also goes up significantly high. Before you had 9,460 lux, but in max mode it goes up to 13,800 lux. You will notice the fan on the light will start to work that much harder as it is pushing the light to its absolute limits. Do not worry though, as if the light begins to overheat, the light will naturally switch off to the standard mode. So do keep that in mind that if you're running this light incredibly strong in max mode, at some point after a few hours, the lights will switch back to the standard mode. Instead of being attached to the light, all the controls are attached to the adapter. So you have the on switch, the dim switch, and the CCT switch. And of course you can see any mode settings from this adapter itself. Now if you're someone who uses continuous high-powered lighting often, you will often find that your fill light will typically be very high up and very far away. So it is welcome to have these controls for this light separate to the light itself. I mean, I don't have to climb up on ladders or reach very high up to make quick adjustments. Another thing that's welcome about these detached controls is if for whatever reason I have to cram this light into a very small space or a very precarious position, I don't have to completely remove the light to make adjustments. You also have this little rubber handle on the adapter here, which means you can hang this off one of the knobs on the light stand and don't have to worry about buying additional gear to attach this to your light stand. It's a much cleaner setup and it's welcome. The Morlus G200 also has a 180-degree adjustable arm. This arm can go all the way back, all the way forward. Typically with some continuous lights, you might find that it can kind of go 180 degrees, but it sort of stops short as you do have this big bulky brick to deal with. But with this light, that's not an issue. In terms of the joint in this adjustable arm, it's a jagged tooth system, so don't expect this arm adjustment to be incredibly smooth. It will sort of be very rigid and clicky, but the benefit of that means that when you make the adjustments, even if the knob's just a little bit loose, you don't necessarily have to worry about this light accidentally falling all the way back. It does get caught a bit on the jagged tooths of this joint. And then for all you umbrella users, you also have a little umbrella hole in the base here. And it is noted on a big sticker on the base here, but do keep in mind that if you have had this light running for a very long time, this part here in particular is going to be very hot. So if you've been using this light for a while, turn it off and allow it to cool for a minute. Now if for whatever reason both the light and the adapter are out of reach, you can still make Bluetooth adjustments using the ZY Vega app. From this app, you of course can make your standard brightness and warmth setting adjustments, but you can also access a number of presets for a more specific type of light. Now you don't get anything sort of crazy here, you don't get any sort of blues or greens or reds or any weird looking colors or effects, but you do get some very clean and essential lighting sets. The Morlus G200 also has 3 modes. Now the first 2 modes are fairly standard. You of course have normal mode, which is basically just flick on the light and it will flick on. You also have live mode, which provided you have all your Morlus G200s plugged into the same adapter, will sort of sync up and have identical settings, meaning you don't have to make adjustments on one adapter to have a whole lot of lights around it do the same. You can of course also sync up a number of lights by the ZY Vega app. Now the third mode is a very special mode, music mode. The way you set up music mode is you hold down the CCT button and it will flick to this. Now if you do have any epilepsy concerns, I do recommend avoiding this mode as the flashing can get fairly erratic. Now how music mode basically works is this light actually has a microphone in the back, and this microphone will sort of pick up on any music or any sounds and have the light work synchronously with it. If you have any other creative ideas of how you can utilize this music mode, please let us know in the comments below. Now initially when I was testing out the music mode, I did find that the light wasn't really syncing up with the music, yet when I spoke directly into it like this, it worked fantastically. What I found out later was it was in fact I was using a low quality speaker, my phone. So if you do want to sort of fully utilize the music mode and make sure it's really responsive, make sure you use a high quality speaker so it can pick it up that much better. So that's the Morlus G200. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below.